How about now? We will see. Hello, and welcome to the Once Upon a Corgi Podcast. We are a Crafty Puppy podcast coming to you from Southern Connecticut. I'm your human host, Gabby, and you can find me everywhere online as Gabby Gales and all my hand-dyed yarn at Once Upon a Corgi and onceuponacorgi.com. We are joined by Audrey and Iron today. I don't know if you can see them. Stop trying to climb him. They are our Pembroke Welsh Corgis, who are the interruptions throughout this entire thing. Thank you to everybody who has been coming back, and welcome all new viewers. Thank you so much for checking us out. We have a couple of announcements before we... I'm really sorry if the camera is shaking. He's moving the entire... We have a couple of announcements to get into before we get into the crafting bit, and they are... My show notes are over here, so that's why I keep going over here. Did that. I am starting to put all the show notes just down below in the description box. I'm not very good at keeping up with the Ravelry post, and I am working on getting a website up for the podcast, so until then, everything is just going to be linked down below. Now, I feel like the cat just wants this dress form to start walking around the house. We have some events coming up, so the event I will be attending is not Fibery, but is the New York Renaissance Fair, and I'm very excited, and crafting is happening because of it. Next week, the 3rd through the 9th of September, I'm having a trunk show at Die Hard Yarns in Oak Park. Yes, Oak Park, Illinois, which is a part of Chicago / right outside Chicago. I won't be there, but the yarn will be there, so definitely go and stop by. It's a week-long trunk show, so it's plenty of time for a small yarn store adventure. And the Western Connecticut Yarn Crawl is happening the 28th, 29th, and 30th of September. We will be at a Stitch in Time in Bethel, Connecticut for the Friday and Saturday. So if you are in the area and doing the crawl, come and say hi. That's it for those announcements, and I have to go grab something. We're trying a new angle in the same area in hopes the glare is not as bad. Oh god, that wasn't safe. This is why you can't have nice things, Gabby. The big announcement, which I am so excited to make, is Joanna of Stitching the High Notes and I, who also known as Opera Jo on everywhere, are hosting our 3rd annual Pumpkin Make-Along, and I am so ready. I cannot wait. So pumpkin spice has already been released in coffee form, in the US at least, and we are ready to announce the knit-along. It is starting September 15th. It's going through November 23rd, which is Black Friday in the US, and we are doing knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving, and sewing. So it is a make-along. Whips are going to be... What? You can't have fiber. You're a dog. You can't spin. You have no thumbs. Whips are allowed, but they must be less than 50% done to count, and we are going to have chatter and FO threads in both of our groups. So on Ravelry, make sure you are in both of our groups and post there. And we already have our first prize. Where'd it go? I swear we have it. Okay. Our first prize came in by my friend Lauren, who is Color Wheel Yarns, and this is her colorway Don't Call Me Pumpkin. It's on her Gold Stellina Sparkle base, so 75/25 of merino, nylon, and sparkle, and I love it. She did oh so kindly send me a skein as well, and this is going to become the Yes Way Rose shawl, and I cannot wait. So one skein is for you guys, and she does have a coupon code for 10% off your order using the code PUMPKIN for her Etsy shop, so I will put all the links down below for her stuff. She has a huge order of these up in the shop right now for ready to ship. I love it so much. It's just so, it's got reddish browns and deep oranges and these hints of like a highlighter green, but mixed with like a little bit of a gray purple mauve almost, and like dark brown speckles. It's very autumnal. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to knit this up. So thank you so much, Lauren, for sending me one and sending everyone else one. And it's living in the top of my stash away from all the puppies. I'm very excited. I already have 2 projects picked out. So we are going to do the Yes Way Rose, and then I'm going to sew a violet top in this completely campy pumpkin material. I really hope this is in focus. I cannot wait. It's just going to be a delicate and light collared shirt with pumpkins all over it. I don't know if I'm going to do contrasting collars. I don't know if I can find like a yellow to match this to do it. So I might just try and make sure my collars are mostly the background material. But I feel like if I just did like a warm brown for contrasting collars, that would be really cute too. I haven't decided yet. I have to look in my fabric stash to see what I have. I just can't wait. I'm so excited. I have a pair of brown shorts in the making, so I think I'm going to try and finish those so I can wear them together and just be an autumnal bomb. Yes! Guys, I can't wait. It's probably going to be my Rhinebeck outfit, at least one of them. So we'll see how this goes. It's going to be fantastic, Iron. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Pumpkin season snuck up on us and I'm ready. Use the hashtag PumpkinMAL on Instagram. Let us know what you're going to make, what you're making, what you're so excited for. We also have a pumpkin make-along Pinterest board that has crafts, recipes, drinks, everything. Pictures of pumpkins. I couldn't help myself. So let us know what you're making, what you're baking, what you're crafting, pumpkin, everything. Because pumpkin is life, couple up, and we're not afraid to admit it. All right, well that was like a loud pumpkin speech, and I'm really sorry. I know, but we gotta calm down. Oh, and poly dipping and other make-alongs is allowed. You're being very rude right now. With all that out of the way, and being so, what, bud? Do you just want to go on the bed? Come on. I'll spot you. Alright, go on up. I'm watching. Good boy. Making sure we're still in focus. With all that said, let us get into the crafting. We will start off with what am I wearing? I'm wearing my Betty dress by Sew Over London out of maybe cotton and steel fabric. I don't know. I know it's organic cotton, and I know it's got this red flower on it. Ta-da! I love it. I need to figure out what to do with the straps because I'm finding that the straps just are a little too wide, I think. So they're just sort of floating and they're not really holding the dress up. The waist is holding the dress up, so I don't know if I need to do like a forward shoulder adjustment or a small shoulder adjustment in the future. But if they just start going around, that's why. Crafting wise, I have no finished objects this week. I tried very hard to do so and I failed. So lots of whips. By lots, I mean 3. The first of which is the closest to being done, and that is my Winter Rose sock by Helen Stewart. I really hope you can see this. It is in the colorway Tell Me to Smile One More Time. I'm using my Knit Pro Zings on my 2.5 millimeter US ones. And I hope you can see this. I hope it's in focus. There's the colorway in stockinette. And we are on the toe decreases. I was working on this morning during computer work and I didn't finish it. And then Jake's mom came over with his niece. And so I did not finish it while they were here. But this will be done before the night is over. I will work on it while editing. And I will cast on the second one so I don't get second sock syndrome. This is my first sock pattern by her that I've ever knit, and it's part of the Sock Society, and I love it. I definitely want to knit the other ones. I'm not saying my sock mojo is back, but I'm saying that it's getting there. I did a 2x2 twisted rib for the cuff and then the German short row garter heel by Mina Phillip with the tiny heel flap and gusset for the heel. I believe she did a short row heel in her pattern, but I just really wanted to try that one out. And it is living in my, we're calling them faux fringe because they're heavy canvas bags, but they're not by fringe. We made them for each other. Bag that my friend Lauren made me, decorated with all my pins that are going to go on a flag on the wall because I've almost lost my La Bien-Aimée one twice and I would have died. It just would have been the end of it. I also almost lost my Granger one, which I love so much. Speaking of not having a sock mojo, I have cast on, come back, a sock! I needed a movie, not a movie theater. Why did I cast this on? Oh, we went out to dinner for one of Jake's friends' birthdays was this week, and his mom was up, who lives out of state, so we went out to dinner with her and a bunch of other people, and I needed a sock for dinner. So I cast on this guy, and this is self-striping yarn by Melissa, who is the Hands That Make podcast, formerly known as the Spicy Homemaker, but I believe she's still the Spicy Homemaker on Instagram. I have to double check. She dyed this last year, and she gave me a ball during Rhinebeck, and I told her I would knit up a swatch for her, and then I promptly didn't, and I'm really sorry, Melissa. I'm sorry. So I cast it on now because Rhinebeck is coming, and she's going to be there, and I can't wait to see her again, and I'm just so excited, so I cast it on. I'm using my US 1 Hayas, not sharps, just regulars. I did 64 stitches. I believe I get 8.5 stitches to an inch with that. And we are just going. I don't know if I'm going to do an afterthought heel or if I'm going to stop for a heel. I haven't decided yet. I did a 2x2 regular rib for the cuff, and I'm using, I already have my mini, I'm so excited. This is a mini from Hue Loco. My mom bought the surprise party shawl kit at Indian Tangled last year in the light pink base, and she did not like this green color, so she got herself another green color, so she gave me the mini, and it's going to be my heel, and I'm very excited for it. It's like two Rhinebeck friends in one. I don't know if I'm going to finish them for Rhinebeck, or if I'm going to save them to be worked on at Rhinebeck. We'll see. We'll see what my sock mojo is, and how many sweaters I finish before then. And that's all I have to say about that. I love it. I love the way it's self-striping. Her dye job is amazing for being the first sets of dyeing that she's done. The stripes they're not totally even, but they look really good. Everything changes really nicely. You did a very good job, Melissa. I'm very proud of you. I love this color palette. I'm gonna need a lot of these. I'm hoping self-striping gets me back into sock mode because I have a lot of sock yarn. I really need to get through it. Gotta make room for more yarn. And it is living in, it's really like a friend project. It's living in the cloud bag that Becky made me from stringing it together. I don't know, I just try to combine soprano knits in so many words. I'm really sorry, Becky. I'm dying on the inside, apparently. The last project I have been working on, I tried really hard to finish this week to send out with my trunk show. I'm in the middle of a row. But, oh wait, am I so close? I'm so close to finishing. Maybe I'll knit on it a little bit. We'll do that, it'll be safer. So this is the Birds of a Feather Shawl by Andrea Mowry. I'm just gonna quickly knit on it while I tell you about it. I'm using my hand-dyed yarn, Once Upon a Corgi, on my Marie Cutie base, which is Corriedale and nylon, and my Fig lace base, yes, which is Kid Mohair and Silk 70/30 in the colorway Lady of Shalott, which is inspired by the ballad Lady of Shalott, and the colors by the painting at the Wadsworth Museum in Hartford, Connecticut. I'm almost there. I'm knitting it on US 5 Knitter's Pride Nova Platinas, which I really like for shawls because they're not super sharp, but they're sharp enough to get in there for a lot of the knit. You get a lot of the decreases, and they're light. So when you have a super heavy shawl, I'm not also carrying the weight of these giant needles. We're so close. We're so close. Okay, I hope I'm in focus. So here we are. This is, again, Birds of a Feather by Andrea Mowry. And we are in section 14 of 16, right? 13? 13 or 14 of 16. We are in, I believe, the second to last mohair section, which is very exciting. This is our first ball of Murray Cutie, so we have our second skein all caked up and ready to go. I did want to get the shawl done so I could send it out with the trunk show to Die Hard Yarns, but I figured out that I did these two, I did like this middle section of mohair wrong. I didn't do enough rows, so I didn't have enough increases, so I had to rip out 4 sections and reknit them. And I did that in about 2 days, which was way more than I should have done. But I really wanted it done for the trunk show, and it will be done for the start of the trunk show. It just won't be there because it won't have time to get mailed out, which makes me sad. So its debut will be at A Stitch in Time in Bethel. And I do have kits up in the shop of dye to order. So you get 2 skeins of a fingering weight and 1 skein of a mohair. So you can do it with any of those combinations of shawls, because I know there's a bunch out there. And I do have a couple recommendations in the description in the shop. I really like it. I'm not over the mohair, but it is a little bit frustrating because it's by itself and it's so thin and it gets stuck on every little nook and cranny on my needles, which is fine. It's lace weight, that's what it's gonna do. But when it's knit up, I just love this fabric so much. Someone on Instagram, I wanna say it's Georgia Fibers, that can't be right. She knit a whole sweater just out of mohair, and I'm really tempted to do that. Not now, because it's way too hot to try and do that, but it was just so beautiful. So there we go. This will be done for next week. It's going to happen. And that is living in my fat squirrel bag. The only other making we have really been doing is a little bit of embroidery. So we are working on the embroidery collar for our partlet for the Renaissance Fair / the SCA. And it doesn't look like much because I think I have to rip some out. And there's a needle in it. But we have started our collar. Ta-da! So as you can probably see, this bit is puckering because I started pulling the threads too tight. There you go, good girl. Oh, look at your little chicken arms. Can you see his chicken sitting? Look how cute you are. Oh, there's your arms. Okay, as I was saying, I pulled the threads a little too tight, so it's starting to pucker and turn inwards. So I'm just slowly pulling it apart. I was trying the black work method. I'm gonna try and zoom in. I don't know if you can see it. So this thicker line, I'm doing back stitching. I don't know how to describe it, but it's a little bit of a thicker line. And then the black work is this one, in which the process is you basically sew every other stitch until you've used up half of your thread. And then you go back and fill in those every other stitches on the way back. So then it's almost reversible on either side. They should look the same, minus like where the knot is. It's a little bit neater than back stitching, so I wanted to give it a shot, but I think I just pulled too tightly, probably because I was watching Vikings while doing it. Hold on, I have to go get Audrey. Just because you're yelling in a different room doesn't mean we can't pick it up on the mic. So yeah, it's not going to take long to redo that, and the plan is to fill in all of these little bits with little leaves and vines. Just make it very, I guess, fun and not floral. So that is that. This shouldn't take too much longer. I'll probably work on it tomorrow a little bit during my crafting night with Carrie, and then sew it on. We do have a whole extra week that we need to finish this. And then sew it on to the partlet, which should not take too long. So that's what we've been crafting. We haven't done any sewing, but we are starting to gather stuff to do a couple projects. We took out a couple of our SCA dresses to pin and see what changes we need to make to improve them. Right now, I have my Gryffindor Tudor gown with the big bell sleeves up there because I need to raise I'm staring at it, that's why I'm looking down there. I need to raise the waistline and then redo the back so it's got a privacy panel and it just falls a little bit better over my shoulders. So that's that. I haven't set aside a sewing day, but I am hoping to get one done very soon. I don't have any SCA events coming up, and all my outfit is done for the Renaissance Fair minus the partlet, but Yule, I want to make a new dress because I can. And I believe that is it for our crafting. So if you are not here for any of that, thank you so much for watching. And if you are here for shop update and beyond crafting, as I'm calling it now, let us continue on. We will be having a shop update tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is Thursday, August 30th. And we are having a tweed update. So last week I did not podcast because Jake had Wednesday off, and I would rather spend it hanging out with him than recording in a corner of my bedroom. I love you guys, but... So I will show you... Ooh, let me get it. What went into the shop last week and what will go into the shop this week. Last week we did our fall update, so I'm going to show you all of our fall colorways. Those were across almost every single base. There's a couple of each still up in the shop. So we had Pumpkin Throne. Our newest colorway for sure is Apple Crumble, which is just tones of pinks and reds and maroons and bits of browns and blacks. It's just, I love it so much. Pumpkin Throne, a couple of people asked me to describe the colors because their computer screens are always a little bit off, so I'm going to try and remember to do that. Pumpkin Throne is creams and dark oranges with bits of light minty greens and black speckles. Zombie Kangaroo, which is oranges, greens, reds, blacks, very speckly, very lovely. I have I have one sock in this colorway. And last but not least, our goth queen herself, Nia, which is our base of a light gray and then speckles of pickle green and red wine, purples, blacks. I love it. Like a little bit of a Cabernet color. So good. And we also dyed up Apple Crumble on our Fig Lace, which is our mohair silk blend, Nia on Fig Lace, and Pumpkin Throne on Fig Lace, which turned out very dark and very moody, and I love it so much. We also did a huge update of Like My Cold Dead Heart on Fig Lace. The new pom-pom came out, and they have a shawl that's 4 skeins of a mohair, so I was super tempted to take all 4 skeins and make that shawl, but somebody should. And we also did a little bit of Something Sinister on Fig Lace. So we've got some tonals and some speckles all set for all of your mohair sweater needs. So this week going up is going to be all tweeds, which is our iron base, which is 8515 Superwash BFL and Donegal Neps. And we will have Sunday mornings. This guy's a little damp still. Rodney, Moni and Down, which is one of our Outlander colorways. The Gaelic nickname Jamie calls Claire. And where is she? Warmed Caramel. So we will have a sweaters lot of each of those going up into the shop. And I've gotten a couple of feedback on the new shop layout now that it's by Wool Blends, and so far so good. So I hope you guys are enjoying that. I believe that's it for shop update. So again, that's tomorrow, Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, August 30th at onceuponacorgi.com, and I hope you guys can make it. We do have the dye to order for the Rhinebeck colorway if you are interested in that, and I believe that's it. I believe that's all the new stuff. Is that it, pup? So now let's go into beyond crafting, because that has been a little bit busy. Last I talked to you, okay, I'm not going to show you all the covers, but we've been doing a lot of reading lately, and that's why, yeah. So this is basically our life stuff section, but instead of saying life stuff, it's beyond crafting. Because we fancy. I have finished A Spy in the Silver Palace, An Imposter with a Crown, and A Traitor at the Stone Court by Jordan Rivet. I don't know if I told you that last time. And then I finished Burden's Edge by Sever Brawny, which I thought was okay and a little bit weird because the entire time they vaguely referenced this war and these adventures, and I felt like he was very casual about characters, and it felt like a little bit bro-y almost, and I got very confused, and then I realized there's 5 books that come before that book. I stopped talking too long. Audrey hears the dogs. I don't know why it took me the entire book to realize it wasn't it, so I'm gonna get up so I can make sure that you can see this. So that is Burden's Edge, Fury of a Rising Dragon, and I'm taking a turn from my usual teenage to young 20s girl, learns magic, goes to school, saves world. So now we're on a teenager boy, knows magic, must save world. Okay, you know, same thing, just a male character instead of a female one. And I haven't read a lot of those, minus like Aragon, so was very excited. I wasn't totally thrilled with the book, again. because I felt like they were just talking about this great adventure, and I'm like, why aren't you writing about this great adventure? And then I finished the book and I read the author's note, and I realized that there's, again, 5 books I completely missed. I immediately went, finished reading the book, and instead of continuing that series, went and downloaded the 5 books that came before it. So I am on book 1 of the Arinthian line, I believe that's how you say it, Arinthian line, and it is called Arcane, again by Sever Baroni. He's a British Columbian author. I hope you can see this. And so far, so good. Again, now it's an origin story. Now I know how he learned how to do all of his magic and what this war was. The premise of the story basically is this orphan becomes a knight's squire because he was being abused by his foster family, and while he's staying with this knight and deciding he's going to learn how to be a knight, the king of the land is dethroned, and then an evil tyrant takes over, and he starts pillaging and destroying all of the villages around the area. So this boy, I forgot his name, Daniel? Ogham, not Daniel. Ogham is forced to flee for his life, and he ends up getting picked up by this old woman in the mountains. She basically saves his life because he thinks he gets struck by lightning, but it turns out that his magic is lightning, and that's when he discovers that he has magic, and she is going to teach him how to use it. So they have, each person has their own magic. So he has lightning, other characters have plants, air, water. They're basically like benders, but not quite. Haven't really gotten into it, because they didn't talk about it in Burden's Edge, because they thought you already knew everything. So I'm learning. I'm sorry. So far he's just learned that he has magic, and he's starting to train with this old woman. And I already know who she is, because again, I read the wrong book in the wrong order, but I'm very excited to go in and fill in all these gaps. Now that I'm reading this book first, I'm understanding the author's writing more, and I feel a lot less insulted, like, why would you assume that I knew that? Because you would have thought I read the book. That's why. So I'm reading that. I have been reading every night before bed. I aim for 20 minutes. I end up with 2 hours. So we've been going to bed really late. Not the best, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying escaping into these books a lot. I don't know if it's because I'm stressed about something subconsciously, or if it's just I missed reading so much. So we're going to keep going with it. I did finally make my move, and I went to the public library in my town, and I got myself a library card again, so I can do their online library for ebooks and audiobooks, because I also finished A Court of Thorn and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, or however you say your name, who Kristen from Bull and Wine has lamented for almost, I feel like, years now, and done yarn clubs, and she was very right. That was an amazing book. So I also got the library card so I could finish listening to that series. I'm really glad I listened to it. I wish I read it, but I think now that I've listened to it, when I go back to listen to it again, I can read it and get like a whole new thrill of it. I'm trying to figure out how to recreate the feeling of reading something for the first time again, and I think that's how I have to do it. Yes, so I've listened to A Court of Thorn and Roses, and it was amazing. Fairies and fantasy and magic, and it was so good. It was so good. I listened to it in like 2 days. At regular speed, too. That's the best and worst part of it. Speaking of listening, I have also started a couple new podcasts. I know Adrian posted about this. I don't know if he's recorded a podcast in the last week or so, but he turned me on to the Potterless podcast, which is a take on Pottermore. It's a 24-year-old male. The host of this podcast is a 24-year-old mayor. This is a podcast from a horse. 24-year-old who has never read Harry Potter. I believe his name is Mike. I could be making that up. But he's seen a couple of the movies, and he was never totally thrilled about it, but all of his friends, as our age range is obsessed with Harry Potter. As you know, Hufflepuff, 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 Gryffindor dress, super subtle bedspread. I can't even tell you how much more Harry Potter stuff I have in there. That whole basket's just a Hufflepuff, Hufflepuff. Nope, that's Corgis. Yes, we all love Harry Potter. So he has decided to go through Harry Potter chapter by chapter and basically make fun of all of the plot holes, but it is delightful. He has co-hosts who are huge Potterheads. And every time he says something wrong, they immediately jump on him and are like, how dare you? But it's great. It's so good. He's just making fun of Harry Potter, but in the best way possible, and it's making me fall in love with them again. So I think I might get the audiobooks and re-listen to them and see if I can get that, like, I'm just itching for that new book craze. There are dogs howling directly underneath us. I do want to reread Harry Potter. I haven't reread them in a long time, but I can't physically open my books anymore because if I open books 1 through 4, all of the middle pages fall out because the glue has deteriorated that much. Jake does have the first 2 books in soft cover, so I have considered that, but that means I have to go find the other books until I get to my 5th book when I can't open the book again. So I think we're going to try audiobooks. I've heard good things about the author for those. It's just such a good podcast. I have started listening to Mifflinfinity as well, which is a British man going episode by episode through The Office. And one episode was really good because it was just him playing clips of the episode The Injury and then laughing, saying this is such a good episode, which was great. But now that we're going through the rest of the season, I'm not sure I'm feeling it as much. I'm going to give it a couple more episodes before I actually kill it, and that's what I've been doing. Lots of listening, lots of reading, not that much crafting. Maybe it's the need for fall. Oh, I also have one more recommendation. I have been listening to this podcast. I feel like I should probably plug this because it is Jake. Jake and 2 of his friends have started a podcast. It is a movie review podcast where they are talking about their favorite movies of each section. So far, they only have the trilogies out, so they all talked about Planet of the Apes, Lord of the Rings, and Star Wars, and they also talk about new movie trailers, new movies that have come out, and that sort of thing. I do enjoy it thoroughly. They are long episodes, but they are just starting them, and they started with 9 movies, so there was no way they could pare that down. I will leave a link for that in there. It's called Film Me In, and it's at Filming You In for Instagram. I believe that is it. So I've been listening to them a lot because I've been helping him edit, and then I just like listening to people talk, so it's a really good background noise. But it's a good podcast. But it is a long podcast. They're good episodes. I do enjoy them. It's a good conversation. So I will leave you now before I ramble and we run out of light. Thank you so much for watching. Again, you can find me everywhere online as Gabigales and all my hand-dyed yarn at Once Upon a Corgi. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week. Bye.